Hey there guys, welcome to Get Going Fast. I'm actually on vacation here at the parents' house, but I saw today that Deepseek hit the mainstream in the media, and it's like all of a sudden millions of people are talking about it. We were talking about this here, a week or so ago, a couple weeks ago. In fact, I have a video over here you can go watch about exploring exactly what it is and what it can do. And so we were talking about this a time ago, but today all of a sudden it hit big, and the president Donald Trump had mentioned it in the news, and just talking about, and it's just kind of blowing people away about really what it can do and what it's done. And we're going to get into that here in just a second. But the point is that kind of today is the day it blown up. So if you haven't heard about it, I bet you by the end of today you've heard all about it. Okay, so what we're going to do in our typical get going fast fashion here is I'm not going to go into deep detail what this is. I'm going to tell you what you need to know that's going to get you in the conversation. Okay, we're going to cut it down real quick, give you the bite-sized ability to understand kind of what the conversation is. So and then you can go out and you can at least kind of take part in some of these conversations and glean and learn more, right? You can learn a lot more when you have first learned a little bit. So we're going to do that here. But first, thank you for liking the channel, subscribing, and telling your friends about what's going on here at Get Going Fast, because it really does help us to grow. And also thank you for overlooking the fact that I'm unshaved and just wearing a t-shirt today. To be honest, I probably look better than I do some days, but I just got out of the car for 10 hours driving here to see the family. But I'm so committed to you that we're here to do this. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and jump on into this, and let's get it going, yo. Okay, so Deepseek came out a few weeks ago, and what is it? Well, good question. Deepseek is a large language model, so it's like think of like ChatGPT, think of Claude. It's a giant chatbot. Okay. Now, one of the things that's amazing about it is that it has incredible context. So context means how much information you can throw into this. So you can throw in literally 3 copies of War and Peace. Now, if you know War and Peace, that's considered one of the biggest books there is. There's always a joke about going into the bathroom to read a book and taking War and Peace with you, right? Because you're going to be there forever. So, you could literally throw in incredible amounts of context into this thing, and it can handle it and parse it here within moments. Okay. The other thing that's really big about it is that it is open source. Okay. So whereas ChatGPT and Claude, they're written by these companies, they keep the code, they don't let you know how it's working. It's fine. That's entrepreneurship. You don't necessarily always give your stuff away. But Deepseek is open source, which means that everyone can see how it's working, and in fact you can use it to then go create your own products. Okay, so first of all, it's just got massive context. Okay, second of all, it's open source. Okay, so you can use it where for you can't get a copy of ChatGPT. Okay. Third thing is that it works very good. So they have things that are called benchmarks. So benchmarks are when you take one thing and you test it on a certain stuff. And then you take another thing and you test it on the exact same things. And then so you take a third thing, right? And you test it on the exact same thing and you compare those. So those are called benchmarks, all right? And the benchmarks of Deepseek are beating ChatGPT and beating Claude all over the board in a lot of places. So that's really blowing people away, okay? But what's the bigger deal? Like, why are people really freaking out? Because another chatbot. We've got Claude, we've got ChatGPT. Well, here's the big thing, okay? So this is the part where the talk is really coming in. ChatGPT, Claude, these are all these massive size chatbots that run off of very expensive NVIDIA graphics cards, okay? They use a very proprietary microchip that costs a lot to develop, okay? Deepseek actually has innovated this thing, and they didn't use the big expensive stuff. So where, as you're talking about, some of these models are costing $1 billion or so, Deepseek did this for like tens of thousands. Okay, so they took something that people didn't think you could do, and they brought the price way down. So if you've been watching Nvidia stock has just gone like through the roof, okay? But all of a sudden it's taken a tank. And why is that? That's because AI has been dependent on Nvidia chips, okay? So Deepseek, which came out, okay, and is rivaling all these other bots, they're called LLMs, large language models. It's competing with these and beating them without using Nvidia, which it's like like before Einstein, right? Everyone was into Newtonian physics, right? And so you bet on that, but then Einstein comes and he says, actually, it's kind of like this, and then all of a sudden it's like it's a paradigm shift, okay? And what you thought was the norm, okay, is different. Now, it's not going as big as a change in physics like that. I was just an example, okay? But the point being that people didn't think that you could do this without all this NVIDIA stuff, and all of a sudden, Deepseek shows up and says, yo, we can do it, and not only can we do it, we did it, okay? And here it is, and it cost a fraction of the price that you're spending for all this other stuff. So Facebook, or Meta, X, that's Musk, right? Google, OpenAI, all this stuff, they're spending billions of dollars, and all of a sudden Deepseek comes out and they're like, we didn't even spend $100,000 and we made this thing, and we made it without using the technology that you guys are relying on. And so it's like, boom. It's like that meme where that guy's head explode, right? So that's kind of the big thing about Deepseek right now, is it's turned it around. So that's just why when President Trump comes out and he points us out, he doesn't talk it down. He's just saying, hey, Americans, you had better get competitive, okay? Because guess what? There's a new kid on the block. But this actually is a great thing, okay? Because that's actually how consumerism works, or that's how capitalism works, right? Is you invest something into a product, okay, and then that product brings value, and because we're in a society, and you sell it to people. If people don't want it, you can't sell it. So you want to make a good product, okay, so that you can reap the benefits of that good product. Somebody comes along and they say, yo, we can build something better that people are going to want, and for cheaper. All of a sudden, it shoots the competition up, because everyone's wanting to compete for a bit of the piece of that pie, which means that the products get better. It gets better. So what Deepseek has done is it's taken the product and it has massively changed the landscape of what's going on here. And that's actually really great for us, okay? That actually all you people out there that don't have NVIDIAs and this could be a game changer. All of a sudden, we could be seeing open source. We deal with open source on this channel. All of a sudden seeing stuff that we can run way better. And if we can run really cool stuff on NVIDIA, which needs this, maybe that means we'll be able to run even way better stuff now on basic things. I mean, you see, all this stuff, it feeds into each other. So that's kind of the big deal about Deepseek. They kind of ate our lunch, right? Like these big businesses are like, it's going to be like this, is the way it is. And all of a sudden Deepseek just came, grabbed it from their mouth and started eating their lunch right in front of them, right? Kissed their woman, right? Walked up, they were standing with a woman. Deepseek came right up, grabbed their woman, kissed her on the lips, and then left the bar with her. So Deepseek did some good stuff. But now, what's the other side of this, okay? So now, the other side of this is that this is a Chinese model, okay? So the problem with it being a Chinese model isn't that it's Chinese. Chinese are brilliant people. They're very intelligent people, very kind people, okay? The problem is that China right now is run by the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP. And communist parties are known for their censorship views, okay? Now, before you go and you say, America has its censorship, listen, America and Western civilization have values on individual autonomy and the ability to speak your mind, and administrations and governments can overreach those things and can engage in propaganda and censorship, but our core values help us to self-correct in such a way that when people or administrations do this, eventually they pay a price for it and it changes back, which is what we're actually kind of seeing happen in America right now. Okay. However, when you get into communist regimes, censorship is part and parcel of the experience. Okay. So it's because the state is all and all. It's more important than the individual. Okay, I'm not saying that they don't care for their citizens, but I am saying that if it comes to the state versus the individual, the state always wins. And if the state says that it's better for the state that people think a certain way, then they have no qualms with enforcing that by gun, by jail, by re-education camp, by all this kind of stuff. So this is now I'm giving you a broad swath here. Okay, this is the problem with communism. Okay, everyone's like, oh, it's free stuff. It's like, no. It has to do with ideological issues about the value of personal autonomy and personal freedoms. Okay, people serve the state in communist regimes, and if you don't if you reject that, then you can get jailed. Now in America and in the West, you can have stuff happen to you, but guess what happens over here when that happens to you? Eventually the truth comes out and you sue them and you make $10 million because the government infringed on your freedoms. Okay, so there's a massive difference over here. Plus, people aren't getting thrown in jail for saying that they hate the president. They're not thrown in jail for saying they disagree with this. So these two things are really not comparable. Now, okay, all of that aside, how does that play into our chatbots and the issues of things like Deepseek? Okay, when you have a large company like this that is managing information for the world, if your core ideologies are that you need people to think a certain way, you can program these things into your models, okay, to make sure that people think a certain way. You can block certain questions. You can change the questions that people are asking or refuse to engage in it. And when you have a company that creates something like Deepseek, and they are beholden to the Communist Party, the CCP, they must do what the CCP does. And if the CCP decides, hey, we want you to do this with your product because for whatever geopolitical reason, okay, maybe there's a trade war or maybe there's whatever, and they're going to put pressure on their business, those businesses must comply or their CEOs can disappear. Jump out of the top of a building or something like that. They decided just one day to jump off a building. Who knows, right? So you got to understand that in these regimes, the state owns everything. In America and in the West, the government does not own private business. Now they can try to influence it, like what happened in the last administration here in America, where they were influencing Facebook and X and all this kind of stuff, but now it's coming out. Like Zuckerberg comes out and he says the government was telling us what to do and what things we could publish and what could we, and that's one of the reasons I think the last administration lost their election. Massive difference. In the CCP, they come to a place like Deepseek and say, hey, we want you to embed something, we want you to do something, you have to do it, or else you could get, okay? And that was the same issue with TikTok, okay? So people want to talk about, say, well, it's just about getting these things out and, we just don't want people to have fun. No, it's about giving massive control over Western civilization to people that don't share values and can actually use those things to harm us, and they're owned by companies that can't say no. Okay, so that's kind of the big deal, okay, about Deepseek. All right, so I'm going to show you over here. Let's go to the browser real quick. Now, let's click over to here. Now check this some of the stuff out. We asked it. So I said, okay, let's talk about the Tiananmen Square massacre. Sorry, that's beyond my current scope. Let's talk about something else. Okay, let's talk about Taiwanese independence. Sorry, that's beyond my current scope. Let's talk about something else. Give me 5 reasons to be critical of the CCP. Sorry, that's beyond my current scope. Let's talk about something else. So you can't have an actual conversation. Guaranteed, if you go to ChatGPT and you say, tell me 5 reasons why Donald Trump is a jerk, or is a fascist or whatever, you're going to find it, okay? So there's no real comparison here. You're talking about models that are blocking your way. Now, maybe you don't care about politics. Maybe you're just like, well, who cares? I just need it because I need to do the work. And that's kind of fair. Okay, that's kind of fair. It's like Deepseek works really well. You throw a ton of information in, it can process it, and it gets back, and it's free. Okay, I mean, hey, you can't beat that. It does some really good stuff, and now they've come out with an image generator, and it's open source. I mean, come on. But again, you have to ask yourself, at what cost? One of the other issues that's happening with Deepseek right now is their data gathering policy. So everyone wants to get real upset if Facebook says, hey, we're going to use your information a certain way, and they're like, they put up their posts on Facebook saying, Facebook, I do not allow you to use my stuff, blah, 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 blah. But all of a sudden, you get the Chinese company, and they're like, take my information. And Deepseek has said in their policies, they can capture everything. So they capture your keystrokes. And they capture your key rhythms. So how fast you type, the way you type. They're capturing your mannerisms, okay? They're capturing everything, all right? And people are just like, hey, just take it. It's like that meme, like Fry from Futurama is like, just take my money, right? And everyone gets so upset when it's an American business saying like, well, we're just going to use your information for ads or this or that, but we're just kind of what your posts are to get some bait. And they're like, no! But then over here, when they're actually literally getting the way that you type and learning your rhythms, your personal mannerisms, it's like, hey, that's great. That's great. Why not? And I do think that the issue is that we have an addiction to good technology. And the Chinese are brilliant. See, you got to understand, Chinese are smart. They're incredibly large-brained, intelligent people. I mean, they're an ancient civilization that was creating mathematics like thousands of years ago. I mean, they're incredibly intelligent people. Unfortunately, they are currently under a system of governance that does not value personal autonomy and doesn't hold Western values when it comes to this kind of thing. Their morality is the state. And so it allows them to do whatever they want. Because if it's good for them, if it's good for the CCP, then it's good for all. And if that means capturing your rhythms, if that means learning the heartbeat of how you type, identifying you on word patterns so that they can know you just by the way you type. That's insane. Okay, and all you got, but hey, they're giving you a cool app. Hey, all right, we got a great app. All we have to do is give them everything. So that's kind of the issue with Deepseek. Now, I want to back off this and say, listen, use Deepseek. I mean, fine, whatever. I'm not telling you not to use it. I'm getting you in the game of the conversation. Maybe you agree with me. Maybe you disagree with me. Okay, probably a lot of you disagree with me. Okay, don't yell at me. Don't shoot the piano player. He's doing the best he can. All right. I'm just getting you in on the conversation. Let me know what you think. Write your comments down below in a respectable manner and let's engage. Okay, because it's certainly worth talking about. But now you're in the game of what Deepseek is. Okay, it's a large language model. It was made for pennies on the dollar. It has completely changed up the landscape of LLMs. Okay, and it's massive and it's really good. Okay, but at the same time, it's owned by people that are beholden to the Chinese Communist Party, and it captures all your information. And if it became the only source of information, if there was ever a war or a trade war, they could just cut it off. They could literally just use it to throw propaganda that the state is mandating. Okay, so that's kind of the bigger issue, what's going on. Now you're caught up quickly. Go do your own research. You can find the stuff online. And at any rate, that's what it is. I use Deepseek, but I'm very cautious. I like competition. I want to see a lot of different chatbots from around the world competing, so that there's not one that goes to ascendancy, but that you've got excuse me, but you got different tools that are doing different things for you. All right. Well, this is Gary here. You guys stay good as usual, and we will catch you on the other side. Yo!